Hello there. Um, I'm on the outside looking in at the way things are today. Um, Obviously, I'm a old fella. I'm 63, and it seems all the world is changing so rapidly and so fast. It's hard to keep up with it. There are so many issues, lots of different things. But one of the main themes that I would like to talk about for this particular post is something called MGTOW, men going their own way. It seems to be a term that's cropped up over the last few years. It's not really something that would concern me greatly because I'm happily married and everything. I've got everything that I need, and I'm getting near to retirement. But younger people today, their options seem to be a lot more restricted. They haven't got as wide a range of things that they can go for as what we did when we were younger. And I thought we had it bad during the time of Margaret Thatcher and all that sort of thing. Although now, I don't think your attitude changes over the years. I don't think she was that bad a prime minister. I did at the time, but I think things are a lot different now. And obviously, there's all sorts of upheaval going on, but the other thing that I would just like the issue that I would like to concentrate today is something called MGTOW, which is men going their own way. And I think it's a primary little problem that's came about through these online dating agencies, as far as I can tell. It seems to be that lots of young people, ladies and men, try to meet one another on dating agencies, and over the years, ladies have raised the bar so high that the vast majority of the young men that go on, they just think it's not worth it. Why would you want to try for any of these ladies that have these exceptionally high, unreasonable standards in many ways? I think, and some of them I think are really trying to punch above their weights. Huge percentages of these young ladies are punching above their weights. There's this extreme over sexualizing of themselves in some ways, or doing themselves up, and they come at the because you get all these things on TikTok. You see what they want, what they're not putting up with, and it becomes this catalogue of what I want. And I think the vast majority of fellas just take a look at it and think it's just not worth it. So you've got all these weird things going on. A lot of the ladies seem to want someone that's about 6'3", earns about 100,000 plus, £100,000 plus per year. Now that's just a start. Some of them want about £200,000 and £300,000 a year, or even more. And a lot of these ladies are really not really that desirable, to put it quite nicely. Um, and they are punching way above their weight, and they're really not they're really not being reasonable or proper. And I think any fella just looks at this and thinks, God, it's not worth it. So you've got all these men going their own way, and they're looking after themselves. They're going to the gym, they're working hard and trying to get everything together. And it's not organised, but they seem to have formed a little society online where they all go in their own little echo chamber or down their own little rabbit hole, and they're all encouraging one another. And some of them are actually putting TikTok videos up of ladies that are coming, examples of from a TikTok video of ladies saying what they expect, what they want, and what they do, and they're stopping the videos and pointing out the delusional things that they're saying. But I can't help thinking that although I can understand MGTOW as a primary source of a problem where men and ladies in the modern day are trying to meet one another, I mean, it's not a problem that I personally have ever come across personally, but what I see online with a lot of young people. But it's a it's a strange thing. I can understand the primary source of what feeds it and understand why it happens, but long term, we would become extinct if every fellow went MGTOW. Even though looking at some of the ladies that are presenting themselves online. I mean, they seem to think because they're good looking and some of them are quite sexy. Not all of them. There's a lot that are not, but they're quite aggressive. But there's no substance to them. They just look really nice, but as soon as they open their mouths, you think, oh my word, I don't think I would like to be caught up with this person. Some of them have got kids and things, which a young fella probably doesn't want to take on board, but because the way society has happened is that people are just going in and out of relationships all the time. And some of these younger men that have sort of worked hard, maybe got themselves a place or got themselves into a sort of a fairly stable condition, and they're looking at some of these ladies and with excess baggage and things, and thinking, well, I don't really want to get involved in any of that sort of thing. But I'm just looking at all these influencers online. You've got all sorts of influencers online. You've got the Manosphere, Taylor the Fiend, and lots of others like Alpha Central, and they're all these males doing these sites about what's wrong with some of the ladies today. Some of them perhaps are a little bit brutal. Others are trying to be a little bit proper about it and being constructive in their criticism. But it's so difficult to sort of like understand why en masse there seems to be loads of young fellas that are doing this, and you also get these other TikTok videos of ladies going on site saying, "Where are all the men going? Why don't they do this? Why don't they do that?" Some of the ladies are organising meetups outside off of mainstream, like a get together, and it's just all ladies turning up. None of the men are bothering to go, and if they do, it's only a small handful. Everything seems to become everything is becoming dysfunctional. But I think all this internet thing is a really great thing. But when it at first dating agencies online, they seemed like a really good way for men and women to meet, and everybody was getting on board. But it suddenly started to collapse and go wrong. It couldn't sustain itself. Ladies were putting this huge, great high bar. Men were just getting fed up with it and getting away. And the only fellas that I think are still on there are the ones that are 6'3", maybe earning all this type of money or telling lies that they do. And there's a small percentage of them going out with their pick of these various ladies and wham bam, thank you, man, and buggering off in looking for the next victim. Well, I'll say victim or the next date, however you want to put it. But then there's also some ladies that are doing it to get a free lunch, which sort of like destroys everything from both sides. It seems to have become something that's blown up into a monster. Dating agencies online. It's created a primary problem with MGTOW. Perhaps there is also a ladies type of, well, wood towel or whatever you would call it, women going their own way. It seems to be that there's this overall problem where no one dares to go with one another, especially I can understand it from a male perspective because I am a male. If I was a young man and I had a house or I got myself on to a property ladder or even got myself a little apartment or something like that, I would be very worried about getting myself involved with a lady that could be with you for a year or two down the line and then, get rid of you and take everything you've got. But it's all these different laws that were well intentioned were designed to sort of like make things better, but long term it's caused other problems. And now MGTOW, I think, is a real primary problem that is it's not going to go away, but it's unsustainable. Men can't and women can't not see one another. Western culture is in some ways destroying itself. We're not producing enough children because everyone's frightened of what they're going to lose if they get involved with each other. When it all breaks down, and a fella might. I'm coming at it from the male perspective, but a fella might be out on his ear, unable to pay all the maintenance, and then he's still got to look after himself. It's the whole Western world has gone completely crazy this sort of thing. I really think everything has to be looked at properly, and I can understand MGTOW as a primary problem, and I can understand fellas doing it because I think if I was young, I would be very, very careful of going with some of these young ladies that go up on these dating sites. I think that some of them got horrible attitudes. I mean, I don't mean just some in the sense of a small minority. I think a huge amount of them have got very distasteful attitudes, like that they deserve this, or that, and me, all the time. And they're just full of themselves, too full of themselves, and you just don't want it. And, just because they bung a bit of war paint on and they look nice, or they, sort of overexposing themselves, they seem to think that that's going to catch them a fella full time. When you see like young ladies going out, I see some videos where young ladies are going to nightclubs in Manchester, and the way some of them dress, I mean, they're lovely looking, some of them, but it's right over the top. I mean, the skirts are so short. I mean, you can see it's it's just going. It's just. I mean, I know I'm old, but we had mini skirts when I was a young lad. Ladies dress sexy when I was a young lad, but it's just gone right over the top now. I just think everything's crazy, and some of the attitudes of some of the ladies, I think a lot of blokes just like feminine, nice ladies. You can't help it. It's what you're attracted to. But many of them coming to you and saying, "I bring this to the table. I've got a career. I've got this. I've got no one. No bloke bothers about ladies' careers and things like that. It becomes a hindrance more than anything. You think, I'm up against someone that's going to be competing with me all the time. Do I really want that? You just want a peaceful life, an easy life where you get on with your wife or your partner. And you want to get along with them. You don't want to compete with them. And some of them seem like they're up for competition all the time. And I just don't think the world's like that. And the more ladies in the Western world carry on with this sort of like want attitude, and not, or what their bar standards are like on dating sites, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I just think that I don't think we're going to completely die out, but I just think we're going to dwindle down very low, and there's going to be a lot of fellas that can handle being on their own. I don't think ladies long term, the majority of ladies long term, they can they can get by on their own, but I think mentally it affects them worse than it does men. Maybe that's just me and my attitude, but it's not meant to be misogynistic or anything like that. But I can understand MGTOW as a primary source of a problem, and it's just how do you deal with it? How do you do it? You can't deal with it with online dating because you've got all these ladies on there with a bar that's set so high, and some of them they're just not that sort of high quality in their looks that originally attracts a bloke to them. And if they are really good looking and sexy, they've got this horrible attitude, and you just think, well, I don't want to go near that, and move on. Anyway, that's just big towel. I mean, I'd like if people could reply and say what they think is wrong or what they think is right, ladies and men. But MGTOW, understandable, but it's not sustainable long term. It's it's going to dwindle the population, the Western population, because maybe we're all getting a bit too high and mighty. But I can understand MGTOW as a primary source of a problem, but it can't carry on the way. Surely it can't. We need each other to procreate, to move on. But sometimes the internet, although I'm really marvellous thing and I love it to bits, I use it all the time, but there are problems. We do tend to disappear down our own echo chambers and our own little rabbit holes. And I think MGTOW is definitely a fella's echo chamber or rabbit hole, and you can sometimes get out of it and go and do other interesting things. But I think there's got to be an overall look at what's happening on dating sites and relationships between men and ladies. I don't think all this ultra feminism is really working long term, and fellas just don't want to put up with it, and I don't think they will. But there are still a lot of nice ladies out there, and there are some ladies online who sort of like advocate that women should not go too far on their ultra feminism. There's a few that I listen to because I've developed this interest, and I'm in and out of all these little places listening to these arguments because I'm far removed from it. I mean, I'm not out looking for dates and all that. I'm far removed from it, and all this wonderful topic of conversation is interesting, and it's mind-boggling as well. But there you go. At the end of the day, have a nice day, and ponder on it and leave a comment. Thank you.